April here with Traveling Our Beautiful Earth. Today I wanted to talk to you about international travel, specifically about trip planning for international travel. As you know, generally when you go internationally, you're going to be traveling a little bit longer, maybe spending a little more money, maybe renting a car, doing things that you wouldn't normally do if you're just traveling somewhere, say, 5 hours upstate or something like that. So when I travel internationally, usually I'll plan about 4 or 5 months in advance, maybe even 6 months if you have the time. A lot of people, they don't have a lot of time to do the planning, so it's good to do it a long time ahead of time so you can just do a little bit here, a little bit there. But as far as booking flights go, I feel like there's kind of like that special time around 3 months to up to 3 weeks before the trip where the prices kind of tend to be on the lower side. So yeah, if you want to book the flight, I'd say do it around 3 months. It's not always the case, but generally. And for some reason, if you book on a Tuesday or if you book to fly out on a Tuesday, prices are cheaper then. The most expensive being obviously like the weekend flights. So yeah, and if you can fly into like a main airport instead of a side airport, you're obviously going to make more money. You're going to save more money that way. So you start planning and you want to do it in advance. A good resource is books. I love reading books. If you don't have a lot of time and you're thinking, I don't have time to sit around and read books, I actually just bring my books to work and I read them on my lunch break every day, and I enjoy reading them. You can also go on things like TripAdvisor, which generally are pretty accurate, but sometimes, when it comes to those big sites like that, people will pay people to give somebody good or bad promotion. So they're not like 100% accurate, but they're accurate enough so you can get a good feel for like what you want to do and where you want to go. And then, like I said, the Facebook pages, there's lots of cool travel Facebook pages where you can go on and ask a question and people will answer. I have my own travel Facebook, which is also Traveling Our Beautiful Earth, which you can come check out if you'd like on Facebook. All right, and moving on to packing. A lot of people tend to overpack. I like to do just carry-on and a checked bag. Like if you're flying with something like Delta, a lot of times the carry-on's free. So it'll save you like $50 each way just to do a carry-on. And then a personal item bag. So I tend to stick with that. Not to mention, when you do have a checked bag and you put it in the belly of the plane, there's always a chance that you're going to lose what you put in there, and it could mess up your whole trip, especially when it comes to things like medication and things like that. I would always put them in my carry-on bag. You have it with you, it's safe and secure. With that being said, if you're going somewhere for a long time and you want to get a checked luggage, look at the different airlines. Some airlines may seem more expensive at first, but then once you look into like how much it costs to actually add on the bags and everything, it ends up saving you money. So yeah, I tend to pack light, but to each his own. When you get somewhere though, you have to consider, especially if you're going into a city where you're going to be walking for a long time, how much weight do you want to be pulling around with you too? Like that's another consideration. And then you also have to decide, what do you want to do after you get there? Do you want to stay at a fancy resort and not have to think about anything? If that's the case, you might not need a lot of time to plan. And the other options would be hotels, vacation rentals such as Airbnb, and then hostels, things like that. You can even do something called couch surfing, which is like a minimal amount of money and you basically sleep on someone's couch. I don't really want to do that, but a lot of people like to do that. It's a good way to meet new people. I prefer Airbnb rentals, which is like little vacation rentals, if I'm staying somewhere for more than a couple days, because they are always tend to be cheaper. You get more for what you're paying for. I get like a private home. It's got a stove, it's got a washer and dryer. I don't have to worry about anything. It's basically a home away from home. Now, if I'm just going somewhere for a couple days, I choose hotels for the simple reason there's less taxes, fees, cleaning fees, all that other stuff. So it ends up being a little bit cheaper with a hotel if it's just for a couple days. And also it depends on the location, but for the most part, that's generally true. Moving on to maps and directions. You can download on Google Maps, different maps. If you get somewhere you don't have internet, you can use Google Maps and save it. And then, but I prefer an old-fashioned map. You can buy on Amazon and just buy like an old-fashioned map to use. But one thing to consider when you do go somewhere internationally, especially like I found in Central America, you get there and there is no address. So in Costa Rica and Belize, there is no address. They say it's the blue house by the church. So how do you put that in there? I mean, obviously you could use GPS navigation systems, but personally I don't know a lot about that. So you want to get a map, you want to get step-by-step instructions for a lot of the times. And then, some other things to consider when you're traveling internationally, which is the location. So say you're like, okay, here's the city center, you can walk to everything. Or you can go outside of the city center and say pay $100 less for your accommodation. You have to consider the fact that, hey, I might need to rent a car. I might be needing to take public transportation. How much do those things cost? So that all comes into the cost ratio that needs to be considered. Also, shots. You can go online and look up what the CDC requires for shots before you go. Some of these shots you might need a month before you go to get them. So I would look into that way ahead of time so that you don't have to worry about it. And also the checklist. Not something I'm great at, but probably a good idea. Write down everything that you want to bring the day before. And that way you know what you're bringing. I prefer to stay in a hotel the night before because a lot of times they have free parking or you can at least get dropped off. They give you shuttle. You don't have to worry about getting to the airport as much. Another tip that I would suggest is purchase a travel credit card. I have a Venture card and I just booked a car rental and it actually covers the car rental. It covers lost or damaged luggage. Plus you get points, travel points, so like some of my trips I pay for, I have a Capital One card. I've paid for all my hotel reservations with my Capital One card at one time or another. And you're insured. And when you go to another country, you use that credit card, you don't have to use a transaction fee, which you're going to get with a lot of other credit cards. So if you are going to become a traveler and start traveling internationally, I suggest you get a travel rewards credit card. Yeah. And the last thing is, I think that's it. And with that being said, I'm planning a trip to Belize in the next couple weeks. I'm really excited about it, and we're going to post a lot of videos about things to do in Belize and whatnot. And those are more going to be actually taken in Belize. But we'll have a lot more stuff to talk about there. If you guys like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe and write any comments you have in the comment sections below. I'm going to try to post a link up below if you are interested in the whole Airbnb thing. If you've never booked there before, there'll be a coupon code. You can use it. I think it's like $30 or something like that. You can get off your first Airbnb stay. And then it gives me like a little bit in return when you book it. So it's a coupon for you. It's a coupon for me. If you're interested and you've never booked Airbnb, check it out. That's it. Thanks.